Okay, so it's 7 o'clock. Frederick, can I get a first to open from you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Rod, a second?
Yes.
Thank you. So moved by Fred, seconded by Rod, that the council meeting of June 8th, 2020 do now open for business at 7 p.m. Kathy, yes?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Sorry, gentlemen, it's a little slow going doing it this way, but we'll get through it. We've gone through a couple already, so. All right, so at this time, first off, any conflicts of interest, councilors?
Yes, I do have one.
Okay.
8B.
Okay, thanks, Fred. Okay, it's under delegations. We'd like to welcome Glenn Tunnock, Ivan Chaumont, and Dave Dorland. Unfortunately, they were the people listed as delegations to speak this evening, so we do have to limit any comments to be made just by the people that I just mentioned. So, Glenn, we can start off with you if you like.
Okay, I think Ivan was going to make a few comments before I jumped in.
Okay, sure, by all.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely. Yeah, go ahead, Ivan.
Yeah, just want to thank council for the opportunity. First of all, as just so that everybody knows, I'm the president of the Agnew Lake Property Group. We started this endeavor approximately 4 years ago, June 15th of this year, when we did the acquisition with Valley and purchasing Agnew Lake Property Group, which is the leased land that was leased by the existing owners that are there now. And since that time, we went through various channels to get studies conducted and to get the path moving forward so that we can get the areas as a subdivision. So, but I just want to take a minute. I just want to thank and acknowledge a lot of people, because this is quite an endeavor. That was, you know, as part of myself and our committee, we are all volunteers. We volunteered to do this, and we've been on it since the start of it. But we couldn't have done it without the help of many people. This council, okay, and the council people, especially Belinda. She's been very helpful with guidance and what have you, and certainly Jill Richards. So I just want to acknowledge all those people, and our part here, I want to acknowledge Dave, Glenn Tunnock, and most of our members, because our members right now are just waiting on to see what the outcome is going to be of this meeting tonight, and hopefully at the end of that we get to an area where we are all pleased with the outcome. So with further ado, I'd like to pass it back on to Glenn now to take on the from this point on. So Glenn, if you want to add anything to it.
Thank you very much, Ivan, and thank you very much to the members of council for the opportunity to meet with you this evening. A couple of months ago, I didn't even know what Zoom was, and seems like I'm on Zoom 2-3 times a week, as the case may be. It's the new reality, and we don't know how long it's going to last. But this evening is an opportunity, I think, to express the culmination of, as Ivan has suggested, a number of years of work. And it's work that's being done by the Agnew Lake Property Group in consultation with the municipality. And we believe that we do have a strong working relationship with council, and we want that to continue. And we do also want to ensure that as we move forward to a solution and to a decision by council, that we keep some principles in mind. And I think one principle that I think is important is the KISS principle, is to keep it simple. And I think that if we do, it will make it easier for everybody to understand what the process is and what the issues are and how they might be resolved. essentially we have a subdivision that's lasted for some 40 years on paper, but never been formalized. And all we are asking council to do is to approve that existing settlement pattern. The lot configurations have changed a bit, but that's primarily because council was not interested in assuming any of the land. And so some of the lots have been extended or expanded to use up that surplus land, and there's some utility lots included. But essentially, it's a plan that's existed for a long time, and so we're asking council really to recognize and formalize that particular plan. We've had some discussions about roads, and it's been decided, I think, some time ago that the status quo is what we could work with. Council will maintain its municipal roads as it has in the past, and the Agnew Lake Property Group will maintain the private roads and the private rights of way as they have in the past. And if council wants to have an agreement on maintaining those private roads, if you wish, and private rights of way, we don't have any issue with that. It's something that can be done under the Municipal Act. And when I'm talking about keeping it simple, we don't need a subdivision agreement, because this is not a greenfield project. It's an existing development. There's no new services that are required. No new development is proposed. So a complicating factor could be a subdivision agreement. We don't feel that it's necessary, and we would impress that upon council as well. With respect to the zoning side of it, again, it's really carrying forward the zoning that was in place for the last almost 20 years since the bylaw I produced in 2000. And the key difference really is the fact that we're recognizing non-complying situations with respect to setbacks, lot areas, and things of that nature. But aside from that, the zoning remains pretty much the same as it was previously, and obviously extended to cover all of the lot fabric as opposed to the previous lots that were in the draft plan, if you wish. We're also concerned, again, in terms of keeping it simple, is not having an inhibiting order. I've been in business for 40 years, done many plans of subdivision, never, ever had an inhibiting order. It's just another unnecessary layer. And I think council has to be and should be concerned about the complexity of this process. If you add a lot of layers, it means a lot of administration by Belinda, maybe by your planner, and it's an additional cost to all involved. And there's always potential for complications with things like inhibiting orders, whether they carry forward from property owner to property owner. So it's a way of keeping the process simple is not to have something like an inhibiting order, because really when it comes down to it, council is in the driver's seat with respect to the approval. You will give draft approval, and then once the conditions are all met and you sign off on the conditions, then
Oh, we lost you there, Glenn.
inhibiting order to do that. So I think that's the essence of it. I don't want to say a lot except to say that it's acknowledged that what's being done has planning merit. So we meet the requirements of the official plan, the provincial policy statement, and so forth. So we should be good to go. I think what we would like to know is where we go from here, because there has been an exchange of letters over the last couple of days, which council will not have on the agenda tonight, from what I understand. But we would certainly like to know where council plans to go from here. I guess what I would suggest, if it makes things easier in working with you, is to maybe have a Zoom meeting to work through the conditions and to come to some agreement on those conditions for draft approval. So that is my submission to council. Again, we look forward to continuing a very strong and good working relationship with council, but let's try and keep the process as simple and straightforward as possible, and get through with an approval of this subdivision so that people can obtain their lots, deeds to their lots, and move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Does anyone else from the delegation wish to speak?
No, we're okay with the comments so far. This is Dave Dorland.
Okay, Dave, thank
We're hoping that we will have council's endorsement and approval of the conditions of draft approval of subdivision, having regard for the comments that have been made by the proponent.
Okay, thanks. I'm gonna ask Sarah to speak in a minute. What I can tell you is, Glenn, you are right. These correspondences did come in late. I've had a chance to review them. Council has not yet, and I think that that's something that would be very important. So I'm going to suggest that we defer obviously not make any decisions tonight until these correspondences have been looked over, and I have seen Sarah's responses to yours, and would like to get some more information from Sarah. These correspondences came in late on June 5th, and two other ones on June 8th today. So to try and make any decision tonight, I think would be very hasty on council's part. But I would like to hear from Sarah if I could, and maybe she can respond to some of the things that you were saying tonight, Glenn.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Council, for this opportunity. So yes, we have received the applications from ALPG for subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment, gone through our review. In addition, reviewed the number of studies that were in support of the application, the planning report, archaeological assessment, environmental impact study, and the various servicing reports. And appreciate the amount of time and effort that ALPG and its representatives have put into bringing these applications forward to the township. From our side, we do feel that in response to a number of these conditions that you're still for plan of subdivision for lot creation. So the conditions that we have set forward in the excuse me, draft approval are ones that we feel are necessary in order for the applications to be consistent with the provincial policy statement, conform to the township's official plan, as well as look out for public interest and protect the municipality. So those would be, we would recommend, if council is to consider approving the plan of subdivision, that you would use the conditions that we had recommended. For example, just on the two ones that Mr. Tunnock had brought up, so the subdivision agreement and the inhibiting order, these items don't need to be lengthy or over onerous documents, but we do feel that the subdivision agreement is important because it's one of the items that would then carry through once all of the lots have been registered and transferred over to their individual owners. Items such as the EIS, the archaeological assessment, also the private access roads, items of that nature would carry through in the subdivision agreement that everyone would have as the lots get transferred. The other item is, and again, this doesn't have to be an onerous subdivision agreement or something that you might see with a new development. But we do feel that that one is important. And the inhibiting order as well. We've had some discussions on this with township staff, and that one we do feel is important because it's part of the process to make sure that all of the correct documents, easements, there's a lot of private driveways that kind of go over neighboring lots, that we want to make sure all of that is put on title prior to those lots getting transferred, and the inhibiting order facilitates that. So those are just the two examples that we brought up with. We're certainly open to having a meeting with the applicant and representatives from the township to be able to all get on the same page and bring this back to council with a revised recommendation.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Would you feel that there needs to be a little more correspondence between Glenn and yourself to bring this back to us first. I have seen your responses. I think that you guys probably need to go back and forth a little bit more and try and find some common ground based on what I've read. But that's, I'm asking your opinion on that.
Yeah, so certainly at this point with the written correspondence, it looks like we're kind of both sticking to our position. So I think a discussion would help with that.
Okay, so getting the report to council, we're going to need some time to review. Once the two of you have had more time and with this new document that we've received today as well too, we want to make sure that that's not, and I'm sure Glenn wants to make sure too, that that's not going to inhibit anything moving forward either.
I would concur with you, Mr. Mayor, on that particular point. Yes, I think there has to be some toing and froing and some willingness to concede. Again, to acknowledge, I guess, the planning merits is the most important thing, and how do you achieve the planning merit through the process. So, yeah, it's I think as long as there's a willingness to work back and forth, I think we can achieve what we want to as a municipality and as a private organization.
Yeah, agreed. And I'd like to get some feedback from council as well. Frederick, what are your thoughts on everything? We'll go with you first.
Yeah, I think by the sounds of it tonight, obviously, I don't feel comfortable making a decision tonight. So yeah, I think if we can get those correspondences going and see where we can find some middle ground and come up.
Okay, thanks, Frederick. Rod, what's your feelings?
My feeling is pretty much the same as Frederick. I don't know much about the planning, but I have to go with our planner, whatever she recommends.
And Kathy, your thoughts?
I just feel that until we see what Sarah has brought forward, we really can't make a decision until we know all the details. So.
Okay, I think we're all in agreement. Glenn, I can tell you that we're not made of stone. We have been known to bend from time to time. So I think that correspondence between you and Sarah, and if you guys propose some common ground to us that makes sense on both ends, council will certainly look at it. So I'm going to suggest we defer any decisions this evening and wait till we hear back from both yourself and Sarah. And I hope that that's fine with the ALPG as well. We want to protect them as well as the municipality in moving forward.
I think that will work. Certainly, I've worked with your municipality for many, many years, as you know, and I don't want to compromise the authority of council or the municipality. I don't want to put them in a bad light or anything of that sort. I mean, I'm a professional, as you well know. I stand on my reputation, so I think we can move forward from there.
Perfect. Dave, are you and Ivan okay with that as well?
It's Ivan. Okay, I've just got one issue. Okay, so I'll be honest with you guys. We're a nonprofit organization. We started this process, paid X number of dollars for this. We spent with studies, with surveying, and with the cost of jail riches over $600,000. And today we're just finding out that we're not getting approved. So it's kind of disheartening. I've got to go back. I've got 51 members that I've got to talk to, and that's certainly not something that they were expecting to hear tonight, but unfortunately that's what it is. And I give Glenn is the one that's going to call it. And he's the guy I'm relying on behalf of the Agnew Lake Property Group. But same token, it's another, and delays cost money, so we're going to be spending more money.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's unfortunate, Ivan, but I hope you can understand that when correspondences come in the same day as a meeting and council hasn't had a chance to review those yet, that we're not going to make a decision without having that done first. So we're not trying to stall. Like we definitely want this to go through. We just want to make sure that we're doing it right and responsibly as a council.
Oh, I totally agree with that part of it. I'm just expressing the concerns that the feedback that I'm going to get from people that I've got to do. I represent 51 people, and
yeah,
and you've got 6 or 8 people to talk to. I've got 51 that's going to be borderline to not being very happy. So I've got to be able to explain to them the rationale as to why it's gone that way when the expectation was much different. So, but I'll take care of, that's my job. That's what I do. So I'll take care of that part of it. But I guess in looking forward, what is the future going to look like? Like we're talking about meetings that Glenn and Bill Richards are going to have, and if they come to an agreement, resolutions or whatever on the conditions, what is the next step after that? I'd just like some clarity for that because I'll be asked that question, and I don't have the answers. So.
I will call a special meeting myself, Ivan, once we've got that common ground through Zoom to work through. And even if they don't, even if Sarah and Glenn don't come to terms, we still want it brought to council and maybe we can intervene on behalf of the municipality. We want this to move forward. So when the information is there, council's had a chance to review it. I'll call a special meeting. You're not going to be waiting 2-3 months on this.
Okay, I really appreciate that. That's excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sarah or Glenn, either one of you have anything to add? I think it sounds like it's in your courts right now between you. So.
Well, from my perspective, as I say, as soon as we can move forward, the better. I do empathize with Ivan and the residents of Agnew Lake. They certainly want some decision relatively soon. So the sooner we can resolve it, the better. So I think the next step is to organize a Zoom meeting with Sarah and possibly Belinda as well. Suggest that, and try and work through the issues and come to some resolution.
Agreed, Sarah. Are you good with that?
Yes, I'm in agreement with that. So I'll coordinate with Belinda and Glenn, and we'll set up a meeting date sometime in the next week, or either probably the end of this week or early next week.
Perfect. Great. Okay, gentlemen. I think that's where we're at for now. Let's hope we can find some resolve. And as mentioned, I will call a special meeting and get this dealt with as soon as we've got that information together and the common grounds. Okay, so we're going to move on with our regular council meeting. I think that discussed what we need to this evening in that aspect. Councilors, we're going to, so you guys can sign off if you want. I don't think that there's anything else on tonight's agenda that at all. Yeah, so that will just be deferred. We'll do that into the meeting. So, okay, so we're going to move on again. All right, so any discussions arising from previous council minutes?
I just have one question.
Sure.
I was wondering if we had any response from the person with the transport that was damaging Dumont Road, if we'd heard anything back.
Go ahead, Melinda.
Thank you, Ms. Byrne.
We can't hear Belinda.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, since we've had such a quick turnover from the last council meeting and this planning has taken up a huge amount of time, I have not had a chance to write that letter, but I will in the next week, and I will let council know as soon as I do hear back from that landowner.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have anything?
No, not for me, Laurie.
Okay. Rod, will you, the next motion is just to accept the minutes. Will you first that?
Yes.
Kathy second?
Yes.
Thank you. By Rod, seconded by Kathy, that the following council minutes be accepted as presented. Regular council, May 20th, 2020. Closed session, May 20th, 2020. Kathy, in favor?
Yep.
Frederick?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Myself, yes, that's carried. Signing as I go here, so it's a bit of a delay. We can still, the next motion is just about correspondence
Yeah,
being received, so we can still pass that. Kathy, can I get a first on that?
Yes,
Rod, a second?
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Kathy, seconded by Rod. Resolved that the following minutes and reports be noted as being received. J.L. Richards and Associates Planning Report PR 1/2020 Planning Memorandum is Schedule A, Conditions of Draft Approval, June 1, 2020. B, J.L. Richards and Associates Limited Zoning Bylaw Amendment, Explanatory Note, June 1st, 2020. C, Tulloch Engineering, comments regarding applications for zoning bylaw amendment and draft plan of subdivision, June 4th, 2020. D, Township of Nairn and Hyman CAO's report, 2020-009, June 3rd. Township of Nairn and Hyman Municipal Superintendent Report, June 3rd, 2020. And LaCloche Foothills Municipal Association Minutes, May 13th, 2020. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Well, Kathy, is that a yes?
or yes.
Thanks. Frederick?
Yes.
You, Rod?
Are we approving the superintendent report?
Well, noting it's being received.
Oh, I got something to say about that.
Okay, sure, by all means.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Larry.
No, that's
Usually
okay.
usually we have a discussion. That garden thing or the signs. When did that came about? I can't remember ever talking about that, and I don't see nothing in the budget for that flower bed up there at the signs.
That was a donation from Ecom to celebrate their anniversary. So that was last summer that started. It just
Oh, okay. I wasn't on council. Well, I was on council last summer, yeah, but I didn't. Oh, I didn't hear nothing about this at all. So all donated, so it don't cost the taxpayer nothing.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you about that one there. Now, the roads on Smith Street.
Mhm.
I was under the assumption that it was going from Highway 17 to McCharles Street. Now I see he done work this year, past to the end of Smith Street. Was that budget for it?
That was just grading.
Well, it was grading.
Yeah, that was all. So it was no. It was just a little bit of new material added to be graded, but that section won't be paved, and so
that's going under maintenance.
Yes, and it goes a little bit past, I believe, McCharles Street, where the actual project started.
Yeah, it goes down to the end there. He graded it and put some gravel on it.
Right.
Okay, so that's not going to be paved this year, then.
The main part of Smith Street is, yes, that's part of our budget.
Okay, that's the 135,000.
Right.
Okay, for that now. What else? Oh. Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, thanks. And I do want to speak to, before we carry this, LaCloche Foothills Municipal Association minutes. You'll see that I had brought up basically a concern of all the extra expenses that COVID-19 is costing small municipalities. For the July meeting, we will have a motion put forward with an example of what this has actually cost us. So we're going to circulate to all the other municipalities in the LaCloche area, and then some. Speak to Phenom about it as well, and just keep some pressure on the government to try and recoup some of these additional costs that we've all incurred.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not going to read the motion again. Kathy and Frederick, we're for it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Fred?
Sorry, I just had one thing under the superintendent's report as well.
Okay, sure.
Just the from what I understood when I had seen the original plans for the flower boxes, they were supposed to be at both sides, and now they're right across, and both our banners are gone. Our superintendent is asking council's advice on where should we put these. I think they need to go back up on the highway somewhere. I thought that the flower boxes were going to allow enough room for the banner. This is part of our town history. I believe it needs to be displayed on the road. I have a tough time believing that one just fully disintegrated and it's in the garbage now. So I think that they really need to be showcased on the highway. It would be tough for me to support anything else, really. So there's got to be another way to try and get those banners up there back on the highway, and order another one for that we have either side, right? I
Okay,
don't,
sorry, Frederick, the original drawings I did do, they were presented at the barbecue that we had here, and that's exactly what was drawn out for it. So what you may be thinking of was we had talked about putting like a secret on either side, a secret hedge on either side of the boxes.
Yeah.
The canvas flyers, banners were made of canvas. One of them actually did disintegrate. I think that it's a very important thing to have on the highway, but I think we can do a nicer job than a couple of banners. Why don't we consider some signage?
Okay, yeah, let's, can we,
Some permanent signage.
yeah, I would love to look into that. That would be great.
Yeah, I think that would be much better. And those banners, I've had them at my business in Sudbury before. They honestly don't last that long. So
Yeah,
that's why.
they've been up for 5 years now, so I can see that happening. But yeah, I would totally agree that they should be displayed on the highway. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and maybe something more permanent, like I mentioned. I think it's an amazing fact for the town that we should be proud of. So
Yeah, thank you.
that,
Thank
let's look at that.
I agree with you.
Okay, so on that motion, Rod, are you in favor?
Yes.
And myself, so that is carried. So you and I can discuss that further, Frederick, or if you want to do some research into it, by all means,
Yeah,
we can look
sure,
at that project. Yeah.
Yeah, I can take a look.
Okay, so moving on to minutes and reports. Oh, no, we did that, sorry. Correspondences, Municipality of Huron Shores, Office of the Mayor regarding regional broadband, May 19th, 2020. Oh, we do have one resolution on the Blue Box program. Sorry, councilors. So thoughts on that, on the CAO's report. It's like the recommendation would be to have it done by January 1st, 2023. Is that correct, Linda? Yes. Council's thoughts on that? Frederick, yourself?
Yeah, I think the January 1st, 2023 is something that we could push for. I don't really see us going into something like 2025 or 2026. And with the correspondence from the AMO president, he's kind of sort of expecting somewhere in the window of, I believe it was 2023 to 2025. So I think we can shoot for the 2023.
Yeah, I think so. Kathy, your thoughts?
I agree with Frederick and yourself. The 2023 sounds good, January 1st. And it also stated in the document that it's not binding. Like we can like just state that now, and then
Correct.
There's nothing that says we absolutely have to do that. So
Correct. And Rod, yourself?
I agree with Frederick.
Good.
And you.
So that's what the motion reads. Fred, can I get a first from you on that?
Yes.
Thank you. Kathy, a second.
yes.
Thank you. Moved by Fred, seconded by Kathy. This is a long one, so bear with me. Whereas the amount of single-use plastics leaking into our lakes, rivers, waterways is a growing area of public concern, whereas reducing the waste we generate and reincorporating valuable resources from our waste stream into new goods can reduce GHG significantly, whereas the transition to full producer responsibility for packaging paper and paper products is critical to reducing waste, improving recycling, and driving better economic and environmental outcomes. Whereas the move to a circular economy is a global movement, and that the transition of Blue Box programs would go a long way towards this outcome. Whereas the Township of Nairn and Hyman is supportive of a timely, seamless, and successful transition of Blue Box programs to full financial and operational responsibility by producers of packaging, paper, and paper products. Whereas the Association of Municipalities of Ontario has requested municipal governments with Blue Box programs to provide an identification of the best date to transition our Blue Box program to full producer responsibility. Therefore, be it resolved that the Township of Nairn and Hyman would like to transition their Blue Box program to full producer responsibility by January 1st, 2023, and that this decision is based on the following rationale: that the Township of Nairn and Hyman's curbside recycling contract for Blue Box material has expired, and our depot recycling contract for Blue Box material expires on December 31st, 2022. That the Township of Narren and Hyman does not operate any assets for the recycling program, and that the Township of Narren and Hyman be interested in providing collection services to producers should we be able to arrive at mutually agreeable commercial terms. And further, that any questions regarding this resolution can be directed to Linda Ketchbaugh, CAO Clerk Treasurer at 705-869-4232 or email at narrencenter@personainternet.com. And therefore, that the resolution be forwarded to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and the Ontario Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks. Kathy, in favor?
4.
Frederick?
Yes, yeah.
Rod?
Yes.
And myself, yes, that's carried. And the municipal superintendent's report, as mentioned, we received 50% funding last year for 2 students. This year we're getting 100% funding for 1. He's requesting that we have 2 students again. Can I get a first from you, Fred, on that?
Yeah.
You. Kathy, a second?
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Kathy, seconded by Fred. Resolved that as funding was received in 2020 from Canada Summer Jobs for 1 position to be covered at 100%, and in past years it covered 2 positions at 50%. Council accepts the municipal superintendent's request to hire 2 students for the summer of 2020. Kathy, you for?
4.
Frederick?
Yeah.
Rod?
Yes.
And myself is a yes, that's carried. Okay, so we do have another one. We're just going to scrap that note. We've come up with some ideas that Fred's going to look into, or Fred, myself, or whoever. Next one, we're just going to note it as being received from the municipality of Huron Shores. Fred, can we get a first on that?
Yes.
Thank you. Rod, a second.
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Fred, seconded by Rod. We have resolved the correspondence 7A be noted as received. Kathy, for?
4.
Frederick?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
So if it's a yes, that's carried. Okay, and this is another one where our CAO will write a letter just basically expressing our intent or our interest. Fred, will you first that?
Yeah.
Kathy, second.
Yes.
Thank you. By Fred, seconded by Kathy, that in response to the correspondence received from the Municipality Council of Huron Shores, Council directs the CAO to write a letter in support of the Huron Shores Broadband Committee's intent to continue to actively seek out solutions for effective rural broadband and petitioning all levels of government for support. Kathy, for?
4.
Frederick?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, that's carried. Okay, so that we're not going to move on these, right? So item 8A, we're going to set aside, obviously based on the discussions we had earlier. Do you have something written, Jennifer? Okay, so we're gonna put a motion just to defer that for that item 8A. Okay, so it's just a deferral. Fred, will you first it?
Yes.
Thank you. Kathy, second.
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Fred, seconded by Kathy. The council will defer the motion 2020-7 until further information is received. Kathy in favor?
4.
Frederick?
4.
Rod?
Yes.
And myself, that's carried. Moving on to 8B, amend resolution 2020-6-81, establishment of investigation committee.
Mr. I declare conflict, so I won't be talking on this though.
No, yeah, I know. I have it circled here, Rod. Thanks. Fred, we got a first on that?
Yep.
Kathy, second?
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Fred, seconded by Kathy, whereas council for the corporation of the township of Narren and Hyman adopted resolution number 2020-6-81, forming the investigation committee along with the terms of reference for that committee, and which was also confirmed by confirmatory bylaw 2020-12. Whereas council deems it prudent to amend resolution 2020-6-81 to add additional particulars to the terms of reference for the investigation committee. Therefore, be it resolved that the terms of reference for the investigation committee be amended to add the following. Number 3, pursuant to section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001, all meetings of the committee will not be open to the public and will be conducted in accordance with the closed meeting and other procedures of the Township of Narren and Hyman Bylaw 2018-39, being a bylaw to govern the proceedings of council, the conduct of its members, and the calling of meetings. However, Part 5, Section 35.1, regarding the format of the meeting agenda, and Part 3, Sections 21.1 to 21.3, regarding the giving of public notice, do not apply. Kathy, in favor?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, so that is carried. Okay. 8C, City of Brantford regarding Essential Workers Day, March 17th to 28th, or to May 28th, 2020. So, can we get a first from you on that, Rod?
Yes.
Thank you. Kathy, second?
Yes.
Thanks. By Rod, seconded by Kathy. Be it resolved that the Corporation of the Township of Narren and Hyman endorse and supports the resolution of the Corporation of the City of Brantford requesting that the Government of Ontario and Government of Canada formally declare March 17th to be Essential Workers Day to honor all of the essential workers who sacrificed so much during the COVID-19 pandemic. And further, that all municipalities across Ontario and Canada be invited to proclaim March 17th to be Essential Workers Day in their respective municipalities, and that a copy of this resolution be provided to AMO, LUPCO, FCM, and Roma for that purpose. Kathy, in favor?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yeah, 4.
Rod?
Yes.
And myself, that is carried. Item 8D, Manitoulin and Sudbury District Services Board regarding COVID-19 interim funding and operating policies for early on and childcare, June 1st, 2020. Fred, can we get a first?
Yeah.
Thank you. Kathy, second.
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Fred, seconded by Kathy. The council supports the resolution adopted by Manitoulin and Sudbury District Services Board number 28-47, dated May 28th, 2020, regarding COVID-19 interim funding and operating policies for early on and childcare. Kathy, in favor?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, that's carried. Okay, moving on to accounts. General in the amount of $22,173.87. Public work $17,873.80, and fire $15,1026. Councilors have any questions?
I don't, Lorraine.
Okay, Kathy.
No, but I'm just going to comment that the hydro at the water plant is crazy.
Where have I heard that
That's-
before?
I know, that's, I'm just you know what, it would have been said. You know, $1,164 is crazy.
Yep, agreed. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be getting any better soon with recent announcements.
Yep.
Okay, Fred, did you have anything?
No, I'm okay.
Nope. Okay, can I get a first to accept?
Yeah.
Rod, second?
Yes.
Thank you. So, moved by Fred, seconded by Rod. Be it resolved that the following disbursement sheets be authorized for payment. General, $22,173.87. Public Works, $15,873.80. Fire, $15,1026. In favor, Kath?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
And myself, that's carried. Okay, moving on to bylaws. Bylaw number 2020-13 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2013-5. So we're deferring that one as well. We have another resolution to defer that. Can we get a first from you, Fred?
Yes.
Kathy, second?
Yes.
Moved by Fred, seconded by Kathy. The council defers the decision to approve bylaw 2020-13 until further information is received. In favor, Kath?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
And myself, that's carried. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the budget. I think everyone has received copies. So what we want again, any comments that are going forward, because as of next week's meeting, we're hoping to adopt it. So now is the time, and that's when we will be doing the public meeting as well on the budget. So I'll start with you, Fred, if you have anything you'd like to add to any of the things we've discussed.
No, I don't have anything to add just based on from last meeting. Interesting to see the reserves this time around. Mr. Chair, you might need to help me out, but to me the reserves look quite healthy. But that was just my quick observation. Looks to me like it's all good for now. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and that was nice to see that addition to it too. Because sometimes we don't realize we see what's in the bank, but we don't realize that we've lent money to ourselves that's being paid back over time, as well as interest that's accruing on our GICs in the bank and so on and so forth. So, yeah, that was a nice addition.
Well, I think that where the auditor saw that we used to have $1 million, but maybe he didn't realize that we bought a tanker out of that too. Now it's 620,000. It's only $400,000 that we spent, but I mean it is quite a bit because we had $1 million there not too long ago.
Right.
And now it's down to 620. So he probably looked at such a fast drop. Maybe I don't know what he looked at there. That's my comment for that. And is this something new? This reserve fund. This report I got. Is that Belinda's new?
Yes.
Is that Robert?
I've never seen it. I've actually never seen it on a budget before, Rod. I don't know if you ever recall seeing it, but
I never saw it before. That's why I questioned it, because I never. This would have answered a lot of my question over the years if I would have had something like this. This is what I call a report.
Yeah.
This is a report that I can understand, and I can understand now looking at the auditor's report now.
Right.
You know, you got to look at where the money came out of, why it came out, and why it went in, and this explains it. And I thank you for that.
Thanks,
and
Rod.
only a couple of things on the budget there.
Yep.
I don't agree to, wait till I get to general. I don't agree on the cell phone to the CAO. Our old CAO was 30 years and he never had a cell phone, so I don't agree with that. And that's about all for there. Now, let me go to Public Works. I had some notes here, but Public Works here, but no, you answered my question before about Smith Street.
Okay.
No, that's all I got for that for now.
Okay, Frederick, your comments?
No.
Oh, you have nothing new, right? No, I want to know what you think about that. Sorry, I wanted to know what you think about the cell phone allowance for the CAO. I personally know that she probably uses her cell phone a lot more than I do for work, and I get a cell phone allowance.
Yeah, is it just the 480 that we give to the mayor and the fire chief?
That's correct.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Most employers give their employees some sort of cell phone allowance, so I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, and being on call 24/7 as well too. I mean, that's as a CAO, right? And nowadays no one has landlines anymore. So, right. Kathy, any comments?
No, I'm fine with the CAO having a phone allowance, and no, everything looks good. Thank you.
Great. I think we got another solid budget, guys. We've been consistently doing that year after year, and I'm very proud of us for that. So thank you for your hard work on it. And then, as mentioned, we'll have our public meeting next week and adopt the budget at that time. Correct, Belinda?
Yeah, sorry,
Yep.
that's one thing that's come to mind. Obviously, with COVID-19, I'm unsure of how much the recreation budget's going to be used. Just with who knows when events will be planned. I'd like to stay at the same. I'd just like to make that comment that.
Yeah, for sure. And at year's end,
planned.
Yeah, at year's end, if we haven't used it, then we put it back into reserves specifically for recreation. Belinda did want to speak to something.
Just, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick note for the budget. I'm not sure if Robert ever made council aware of this in the past, but once we do get council's okay with a budget draft, we then plug in the numbers, so to speak, to OPTA, that's Ontario Property Tax. It's a program that we have to do our taxes through and have our tax rates approved and our tax ratios approved. And there could have been a few small adjustments in our assessment value changed since I did prepare the draft. So there may be a small shift in tax rates. It'll probably be in the 4th or 5th decimal point. I just want council to be aware of that if they do see a slight change. Because now that you have approved this draft, I can go forward and put that into the tax program. So I wasn't sure if Robert ever made you aware of that process, but that's something that we have to do going forward before the final approval on Monday.
No, I never heard that before.
No, me neither. So it is nice to hear, but will be very negligible if anything at all. Perfect. Yeah, so we want to see it. Great. Well, I'm glad that we've got that done. We're going to move into closed session in a minute here. So Frederick, will you first that?
Yep.
Thank you. Kathy, second.
Yes.
Thank you. So, moved by Fred, seconded by Kathy. The council move into closed session at 7:53 p.m. to review information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by Canada, a province or territory or crown agency of any of them. Kathy, in favor?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
And myself as a yes, that is carried. So we're just going to turn off the recorder right now and go from there.